Soundtrack to the love we make. Let your love flow and shower us. Let your love flow and shower us.
Alright, peace and love, peace and love. I'm without my holder again. I actually rode by Five Below yesterday, and I was like, I didn't have time. I had an appointment yesterday, and I had a lot of stuff going on yesterday. Like, Thursdays for me are kind of hectic. So I didn't really have a free period to go, but I feel like I'll be able to go today and get what I need, get another holder. But anyway, I'm on my way to work, and I just had some things on my mind, just with everything that I've been talking about and dealing with lately. Let me turn this off. And it's just like now, I feel like things it's back in a space where the wheels are turning. I was actually watching the video that I recorded on yesterday. I had forgotten that I even recorded one, but I decided to just check through my gallery before I started recording today, and I saw one that I recorded yesterday, so I watched it just to see what I was talking about, and it was like, wow, that was pretty interesting. Especially considering that I didn't even remember filming it yesterday. But as I watched it, I definitely remember filming it yesterday. But I also realized why I didn't think that video was going to be a video as I was doing it yesterday. I thought it was short and spacey, but it wasn't. It was actually pretty decent, pretty helpful. Because I told y'all, like, a lot of these, pretty much all of these videos, are videos where I'm inspired to speak. I speak. I go back and watch them, and as I go back and watch, as I go back and watch them, that's kind of where I determine if I'm gonna keep it or not. Like, once I watch it again, sometimes I watch them 2 or 3 times just to be sure that it's got a message in it. But the interesting thing is, like, let's say I decide, okay, I'm gonna use this as a video, right? I edit, and by edit I mean I add my intros and outros, whatever, and I upload it to YouTube. Well, the day that they drop, I normally go watch them. So that might be my 3rd, 4th, or 5th time watching it. And they have meaning then. But what I've been finding is, like, 6 months later, a year later, like, those ones, when I watch them at that point, it seems like that's when they're really, that's when they really hit home. And it's crazy how that happens, because you can't even really explain or describe that. Like, you can't, it's hard to even understand how that's possible, but at the same time, understanding that helps me understand God and how God works and how God's messages work. So it's just been a lot on my mind lately with just understanding myself and understanding God and understanding God's time, and how these things are just coming together in this time, how the things that I'm speaking about are coming, how the videos that I'm watching and studying and the books that I'm reading, the information, how it's all making sense. I can remember times of reading books for the sake of trying to read a book. And are you going? No? Reading books for the sake of reading books, and really not even being engaged, inspired, because I didn't really understand. I didn't really even have... It's kind of like preparing the soil. You know, before you plant a seed, you have to prepare the soil. You have to get the soil ready to receive the seed. And once you get the soil ready, then you can add the seed, and then you plant the seed, water the seed. Then you have to watch and nurture that seed in order for it to grow. And I'm starting to see that with myself. Some of this information was presented to me early on. I think my first introduction to anything strange, and I'm saying strange because it was strange to me at the time that I first ever came into hearing it. But the first time I was ever introduced to an outside view or an outside thinking of the world as I knew it, I believe I was 18 years old. Well, I know I was 18 years old. It was when I moved to Macon, Georgia. And the first person that I met that spoke anything different was my partner that's out in Nevada right now. We met at the gym at the apartment that I moved into in 2004, January 2004. I got my first apartment, and I was walking to the gym one day, and I just kept feeling like this guy was following me, but I'm trying to discreetly kind of just do things so kind of look over my shoulder as I'm walking, stretching my neck and stuff. I'm like, I think this dude is following me because he been walking back there for a minute, and then I'm hearing he like, "Hey, shawty." Walks faster. Hey, shawty. So, no, that's funny. I had to throw that in there because if he watched this, he gonna know. he know that's how we met, and he hit me with an "Hey, shawty," and I didn't know who he was talking to. I'm like, he can't be talking to me. My name isn't Shawty. My name is Milton. Nah, it was that joy, it was that slang. I wasn't even. I had never been called Shawty before. I thought Shawty, like, I Shawty. But that's how we met, at the gym. Like, he actually was coming to the gym. We ended up at the gym. We met, had conversation, ended up exchanging numbers and stuff. He was a cool dude. But he was the first person that I ever heard say something different than what I had grown up to believe. Jesus Christ, Christianity. He was the first person to introduce me to something different. And at that time, the soil wasn't ready, so I rejected that, man. I mean, we were cool. Like, we still cool to this day, best friends. But I rejected that information. You know what I'm saying? I rejected that because my soil wasn't ready. And so right after that, still in 2000, let's see, I moved to Macon in May the 18th, 2003. I met him January 2004. But I had also, back in May when I moved, I met a guy who my uncle introduced me to. It was new, and my grandma. That's where I was when I first moved down here. I was staying on my grandmother's couch, and my uncle had a room, and so my uncle had introduced me to a guy around the corner who was a producer, and that was my musical mentor. Once we got locked in, but at first it was just music. I didn't know what all he was into when we first met. And so, here I am, January, I meet my partner, and he's talking new things that I've never heard before. My soil isn't ready. Then by this time, my producer is starting to truly open up to what he believes in, because he always kind of made jokes about me going to church. Not dissing. He never dissed it. He just used to always compare it to his own life, like, man, I don't do that no more, man. But if they paying good, let me know. I play, because he played keys. He'll come make that money or do the sound if they gonna pay good. But other than that, he had no interest in church. And I just couldn't understand people that didn't want to go to church. I'm like, oh my gosh, this man is, my soil wasn't ready. And so, he really started tapping into a lot of stuff. Like, he was getting into a lot of stuff that I just wasn't ready for. My partner was speaking, a lot of the, the Islam to me, and I wasn't ready for it. Don't eat pork. I wasn't ready for it. I love pork ribs. I love grilled pork chops. Pork skins, pork rinds. Woo! Like, all of these, bacon, all of that was my favorite. Barbecue, chopped barbecue and stuff like that, these were my favorites, man. And, it was, hearing all this information on both sides at the time. I'm sorry, y'all. I tried to reject the call. It took the call anyway. But, hearing this information on both sides, it was just like, I used to have to go to church and pray for both of them, because they just, Jesus, they just don't know. That was my mindset. Like, oh man, they gonna go to hell if they don't change. You know what I'm saying? And I'm sorry, y'all. I've been trying to stay with my water. I'm gonna chill on the water till I finish this video. But my soil wasn't ready to receive any of that information. But I said all that to say this, because throughout my life, after that point, I was 18 years old at that time. After that point, it just seems like I just continued to end up in conversations and be around people that stretched my belief a little bit, or at least, introduced some concepts and ideas that I wasn't necessarily familiar with. But, my rejection kind of chilled. It got to the point where I could listen to it. I could follow. I started being okay with just listening, at least. It doesn't mean that I am accepting and agreeing what they say, but let me just listen. And in listening, I started hearing a lot of things that felt like truth to me, and it started to highlight the fact that, if I'm honest about it, I've always kind of had questions about certain things that I was told, certain things that I was taught. I always had questions, but, when I was growing up, my mama didn't allow me to ask questions when it came to Jesus. That's the quickest way to get a whooping. So it kind of put you in a place where you're scared to question anything. Whatever they tell you Jesus did and said, that's what it is, or you get your butt whooped. So that was kind of like how what our understanding was. So I had a fear of listening to people talk about something different. My soil wasn't ready. But going through life though, and experiencing different things and having my own experiences and my own questions about things. Now I'm starting to, I was at that age, 18, between 18 and 23, I'm starting to feel more comfortable with asking questions now, and researching things. And, of course, during this time, internet is popping. So, there's access out there, and, I'm hearing of different things and ideas and concepts, and I'm able to take that information in and determine my own, response to it, not just what I've been forced to do and told my whole life. I'm thinking for myself. I'm making my own decisions. My soil is being prepared. So fast forward to where I am now, that, I'm able to take information now, process it, and allow those seeds to grow, those seeds of knowledge to grow, because I am ready for it. I am open to it. I don't reject any knowledge. Any knowledge that's accessible, I'm willing to hear it, study it, learn it, process it. And what I'm able to do at that point is I can, take what is for me and dispose of the rest, or, sit the rest on a shelf. And maybe it'll make sense at a later time. And that's what I have found with even the things that I was first, it's hot. Even the things that I was first introduced to, from my partner and from my musical mentor, a lot of those concepts that we spoke about back then, now it's almost laughable how afraid I was to even listen to it back then. But now it's like a lot of those things, 99% of it is all things that I understand to be truth now. And that's what I was mentioning about the books. Is reading books back in the day when my soil wasn't ready, it's just like you're reading books, just going through pages. But now, the way that I understand things, now the way that I understand information, and the way I'm able to dissect and break down information, now reading books has a totally different effect and impact than it did in the beginning, because now my soil is ready to receive information. So I don't know if this is for me or for y'all, but in order for us to this is for all of us. These videos that I have been making, especially the ones here lately, have really been a lot more serious than, and I can't even say more serious, because in time they all will stand to be what they are. And they're words of guidance. Now, some people may say, well, who made you a guide? I think if my words resonate, then me being a guide doesn't sound too far-fetched. But if my words don't resonate, it could be one of two things. A, this message isn't for you. Or B, your soil isn't ready. But the beauty about this YouTube is that these videos are logged, and you could always go back and watch them at a later date, and maybe they'll make more sense later. But I think the messages I've been coming with lately are now. They're right now. So right now, we're at a very critical time. And it's very important that we understand the time that we're in, and we have to know what time it is in order to know what we should be doing. It's like if you have to be at work at 11 o'clock, right? You need to know what time it is right now, so you'll know, is it time for me to get ready? Is it time for me to get in the car and head to work? You need to know the time to know where you are, what you need to be doing. If you don't know what time it is, you can't be effective. You can't be on time if you don't know what time it is. So these messages lately have been really to let us know that we need to know what time it is. And in this time, we need to be gaining the information and the knowledge that is going to help us to survive and to be successful. And I don't mean successful as in being rich. I mean successful in surviving. And y'all, some people may hear this and think that I'm speaking wild, and I'm speaking about something that I don't know about. But again, either this message isn't for you, or your soil isn't ready. But nevertheless, it is that time, and we're going through some transformations and some shifts. If you in tune with yourself and in tune with nature, you'll see that some shifting is happening. Women, I know you're experiencing some shifting in your cycles. I know you're experiencing some unexplainable things with your cycles. I'm not a woman, but I know that you're experiencing that. Why? Because I'm in tune. And I'm on time. Helping you to understand what time it is, so that you can be on time. What does this all have to do with each other? If your soil is not yet ready, you need to be getting your soil ready, and you need to be planting some seeds so that they may grow. Because that's going to be your survival. That's going to be the key to your survival. Knowledge and information. And if you have put yourself in this box of whatever, y'all, because I don't want this to come off that way, like, don't take this slow, what I'm saying. Don't get angry based on what you know up to this point in life. But if you miss information and knowledge because of the box of your religion, or the box of your political choice, or the box of your church, or the box of your state, the box of your color, your soil not going to be ready. And you're not going to be able to plant no seeds. And therefore, you're not going to have no harvest. And therefore, your land going to be barren. And therefore, you're going to be hungry. Books back then didn't stick. Books now, I'm able to comprehend, and I'm able to apply what I learn and what I read. My soil, over the years, I've been preparing my soil to now I got great soil. My soil is rich. I want your soil to be rich. And this is not a video of me being better than you, further than you, greater than you. It's not that. It's wanting us all to have a chance. I don't know how y'all interpret what y'all seeing on the news. And I'm not even just digging all into the news, because that's even a thing. That's a trick in itself. But the message is within what they showing you and what you're hearing. The message is in there. It's woven into it. But you got to be able to decipher because the clues are present. The information is present to help you know what time it is so that you can be on time. But you got to have your soil ready to receive this information, because otherwise you're just watching these videos. But these videos are to help you get your soil ready so that you can plant, so that you can have a harvest, so that you can feed your family. That's why I won't ever be on here telling you my Cash App to send me something for what I'm saying. I'm giving this information out because we need it. It's important for our survival. And it's not just me. There's so many people speaking right now. Just go to YouTube. Search something that you're thinking about. Search something about your history. Search something about the time right now, what needs to be done. And watch how the related videos pop out. Unless, you know, that it's one of the people that's being shadow banned right now. But the more you get into it, the more of these people just gonna pop up in your face. I hope that my videos even lead y'all to somebody that's dropping knowledge, you know. Because, man, the information is necessary for your survival, but your soil got to be ready to receive. Your soil got to be ready to have a seed planted in it for that knowledge to grow, for you to be able to grow, for you to be able to feed your family. I hope this didn't go too deep. I hope this made sense. I had a phone call interrupt this in the middle of it. I hope that it all still goes together. You know, in the beginning, I was afraid. In the beginning, I wasn't sure if I should even be listening to somebody talk something different than Jesus Christ. But I'm not even saying you got to take something different than Jesus Christ. I'm just saying you have to be open to at least hear the information and use your discernment to be able to determine what's for you and what's not. But just because you don't understand it, or just because your soil isn't ready, doesn't mean that the message does not stand to be true. Peace and love, y'all.